It was a humid spring morning in Austin, Texas, 1994. The city streets buzzed with early commuters, the scent of blooming bluebonnets drifting faintly through the air, and the warmth of the sun casting a golden glow over the historic neighborhoods. Among those walking through the downtown area was Lydia Carmichael, 26, a devoted youth outreach coordinator at the Lone Star Community Center. Lydia was admired for her energy, creativity, and genuine dedication to helping young people. She designed programs to encourage curiosity, artistic expression, and teamwork, helping children discover their potential in safe, supportive spaces. Families and colleagues often spoke of her patience, optimism, and the way she uplifted those around her. Beyond her work, Lydia enjoyed painting, writing short stories, and volunteering at local libraries. Her small apartment reflected her vibrant personality, art supplies carefully organized, shelves stacked with books, and mementos from students and friends displayed around the space. She carried a quiet, positive influence wherever she went, touching lives in subtle but lasting ways. On April 18, 1994, Lydia had planned a morning visit to a local library and art supply store to gather materials for an upcoming youth art program. She carried a tote bag filled with notebooks, art materials, and planning documents, carefully prepared in her usual organized and thoughtful manner. Her routine reflected her methodical approach to both work and life. By late afternoon, Lydia had not returned home. Her roommate Tanya Lopez noticed that Lydia's tote remained by the door, and that the apartment was in its usual state of calm order. Concerned, Tanya contacted Lydia's parents, Gregory and Evelyn Carmichael, who immediately rushed to the apartment. Everything inside appeared in its normal state. Books neatly stacked, art supplies arranged, and her personal items untouched. The stillness contrasted sharply with Lydia's normally vibrant energy. The Austin Police Department, led by Detective Rachel Thompson, was notified without delay. Initial observations revealed no signs of forced entry or disruption. Investigators began canvassing the neighborhood, interviewing library staff, art store employees, and anyone who might have seen Lydia that morning. Flyers were distributed across the community, and local volunteers joined the search, reflecting a collective hope for her safe return. Witness statements provided little clarity. Lydia had a structured, predictable lifestyle and no known conflicts or concerns in her life. Her sudden absence puzzled friends, family, and colleagues alike. Investigators emphasized a careful, methodical approach, focusing on tangible leads rather than speculation. Weeks turned into months, and the initial search provided no definitive results. Detective Thompson's team meticulously documented every detail: interviews, observations, and environmental notes, creating a solid foundation for a long-term investigation. Each step emphasized hope and respect for Lydia's life. By 1995, the case had transitioned into a monitored cold case. Lydia's belongings, tote, notebooks, and art materials were carefully preserved. In the community, programs honoring Lydia began to emerge. The Lydia Carmichael Creative Arts Fund offered scholarships, workshops, and mentorship programs, ensuring her influence continued despite uncertainty surrounding her disappearance. Over the next decade, advances in forensic science opened new avenues for investigation. DNA analysis, fingerprint comparison, and environmental testing allowed preserved evidence to be re-examined with tools unavailable in 1994. Detective Thompson retired in 2004, passing the case to Detective Marcus Hall, recognized for his skill in long-term investigations. Hall focused on archival research, forensic reanalysis, and community interviews, combining modern techniques with careful respect for Lydia's legacy. By 2010, previously overlooked details from archival records began to surface. Library checkout logs, art supply purchase receipts, and handwritten notes in Lydia's tote provided insights into her movements that day. One library volunteer, Catherine Nguyen, recalled subtle interactions with Lydia that clarified the timeline of her last known activities. Investigators, carefully reconstructed Lydia's movements from her apartment to the library and art supply store. Preserved items were examined for environmental traces and subtle evidence of interactions, helping fill in details previously hidden from view. Archival records, witness recollections, and modern forensic techniques began to form a clearer picture of her final day. Community initiatives honoring Lydia continued. Schools implemented art and literacy programs inspired by her teaching methods. Libraries hosted creative workshops, and volunteer organizations expanded mentorship opportunities. Focus remained on celebrating Lydia's life and preserving her positive influence while investigators pursued leads. By 2015, forensic testing revealed subtle traces previously undetectable. DNA analysis and fingerprint comparison suggested contact with an individual not previously considered. Derek Holloway, a contractor who had occasionally worked near the library and art supply store. Detective Hall approached this lead carefully. Employment logs, neighborhood documentation, and community recollections helped reconstruct Holloway's presence near Lydia's locations. Each observation, statement, and piece of forensic evidence was meticulously recorded, ensuring integrity and respect for Lydia's memory. By 2016, forensic testing confirmed interactions between Holloway and Lydia's preserved belongings, including fingerprints and trace materials. Each piece of evidence strengthened the case, forming a verifiable chain linking events on the day of her disappearance. Structured interviews with Holloway were conducted under strict legal and ethical oversight. Initially cautious, he gradually provided details regarding interactions with Lydia, helping clarify ambiguities and confirm a coherent timeline. By early 2017, investigators had reconstructed a comprehensive timeline of Lydia's final day. Archival documentation, witness statements, and forensic evidence converged to form a cohesive narrative, providing clarity and understanding to a case unresolved for over 2 decades. Community programs honoring Lydia thrived. Schools, libraries, and mentorship initiatives emphasized her positive impact, creativity, and dedication to nurturing youth development. Her influence remained central to the community, guiding new generations and preserving her legacy even as the investigation progressed. By late 2017, preparations for potential legal action were underway. DNA evidence, fingerprints, and corroborated witness testimony created a strong foundation for prosecution. Detective Hall collaborated closely with city prosecutors to ensure clarity, ethical standards, and integrity, centering Lydia's life and positive contributions throughout the case. By early 2018, Detective Marcus Hall and his team began reconstructing Derek Holloway's movements in Austin during 1994. Employment logs, neighborhood documentation, and archived schedules confirmed his temporary assignments near the Lone Star Community Center, the local library, and the art supply store where Lydia Carmichael had spent her last known hours. Each record was cross-referenced with witness statements and preserved items from Lydia's tote to form a precise timeline of events. Neighbors and colleagues described Holloway as quiet, courteous, and methodical. He had worked occasionally on community projects and volunteered under supervision for local maintenance programs. While unremarkable in daily life, investigators noticed patterns in his movements that coincided with Lydia's final day, suggesting potential points of interaction worthy of further scrutiny. Lydia's preserved items, her tote, notebooks, and art supplies, and were pivotal in the investigation. Advanced forensic testing revealed fingerprints, trace fibers, and environmental evidence linking Holloway to locations Lydia had visited. Each item, carefully preserved for decades, offered vital clues toward reconstructing the events of that morning. Community engagement remained central to the case. Schools, libraries, and volunteer organizations continued programs inspired by Lydia, emphasizing mentorship, creative growth, and learning. Exhibitions, workshops, and volunteer-led initiatives maintained her legacy while the investigation progressed. By mid-2018, Forensic breakthroughs provided additional clarity. DNA analysis revealed traces previously undetectable, and fingerprints from archival records matched Holloway. Environmental traces from Lydia's tote and other preserved items corroborated her presence at locations associated with Holloway, forming a strong evidentiary foundation. Detective Hall conducted structured interviews with Holloway under strict legal and ethical oversight. Initially hesitant, Holloway eventually acknowledged brief interactions with Lydia on the day she visited the library and art store. His statements clarified ambiguous points in the timeline and aligned with forensic evidence, helping investigators reconstruct Lydia's last day with precision. By late 2018, the investigative team had verified a comprehensive timeline of Lydia's movements. Archival records, forensic evidence, and witness testimony combined to form a coherent understanding of events. Each piece reinforced the others, creating a clear and verifiable narrative that had remained unresolved for over 20 years. With the timeline established, Detective Hall coordinated with prosecutors to prepare for legal action. Every piece of evidence, from forensic samples to witness statements and archival documentation, was meticulously cataloged and verified. The focus remained on honoring Lydia's life, emphasizing her positive contributions while ensuring clarity and integrity in the investigation. The arrest operation was carefully planned with local authorities, emphasizing procedural integrity, safety, and respect for the community. Law enforcement prioritized a resolution that upheld dignity for all involved, while bringing long-awaited closure to Lydia's family. In February 2019, Derek Holloway was formally taken into custody. Investigators presented DNA matches, fingerprints, and corroborated witness statements linking him to Lydia's preserved belongings. The arrest was conducted professionally, ensuring clarity and ethical handling while maintaining the community's trust and respect. Following the arrest, the case file was meticulously organized for prosecution. Every piece of evidence, forensic samples, witness statements, and archival documentation, was cataloged and verified. Schools, libraries, and community programs honoring Lydia's legacy continued to thrive, ensuring her positive influence remained central even as legal proceedings moved forward. Detective Hall reflected on the investigation. Decades of careful, ethical work combined with modern forensic technology had finally uncovered the truth. Archival documentation, preserved artifacts, and methodical interviews allowed the team to solve a mystery that had remained unresolved for over 25 years, while honoring Lydia's life and contributions. By mid-2019, prosecutors had compiled a comprehensive case. DNA evidence, fingerprints, environmental traces, and Holloway statements formed a strong foundation for trial. Schools, libraries, and community programs emphasized Lydia's legacy, highlighting mentorship, creativity, and education alongside the pursuit of justice. Community programs inspired by Lydia continued to expand. Scholarships in her name supported children pursuing creative endeavors, mentorship initiatives guided youth development, and libraries hosted workshops reflecting her dedication to nurturing curiosity, creativity, and learning. Her life remained central to the community, shaping future generations even as the investigation progressed. By early 2020, all trial preparations were finalized. Every detail, forensic verification, archival documentation, and witness testimony was carefully reviewed. Prosecutors focused on clarity, integrity, and respect, ensuring that Lydia's life and legacy remained the centerpiece of the courtroom proceedings. Community engagement grew as the trial approached. Schools reported increased participation in art programs, libraries hosted ongoing workshops, and mentorship initiatives expanded across Austin. Lydia's influence guided the community, ensuring that her life continued to inspire even as legal resolution approached. By mid-2020, the case was fully prepared for the courtroom. Every preserved item, witness account, and forensic verification had been organized and reviewed. The combination of patient investigation, modern forensic technology, and sustained community involvement provided a strong foundation for a respectful and meaningful resolution. By early 2021, the trial of Derek Holloway began, drawing attention not for sensationalism, but for the story of Lydia Carmichael, a young woman whose dedication, creativity, and mentorship had left a lasting mark on Austin. Detective Marcus Hall and the prosecution team meticulously presented decades of forensic evidence, archival documentation, and verified witness statements. DNA matches, fingerprints, and environmental traces formed a clear, ethical narrative that emphasized Lydia's life, her values, and her enduring influence. Lydia's family, Gregory, Evelyn, and Sophia Carmichael, attended each session with quiet dignity. They shared stories of Lydia's warmth, creativity, and ability to inspire children. Friends, colleagues, and former students testified about her contributions, highlighting the lasting impact she had on those around her. Prosecutors emphasized clarity, precision, and respect. Every piece of evidence, from forensic breakthroughs to archival records and witness statements, reconstructed Lydia's final day and the events surrounding her disappearance. Holloway's statements corroborated the evidence, providing resolution for a case unresolved for over 25 years. Detective Hall highlighted the investigation's focus on honoring Lydia's life at every stage. Outside the courtroom, Austin's community celebrated Lydia's life. Schools expanded art programs inspired by her teaching. Libraries hosted workshops and mentorship initiatives flourished. Public programs emphasized creativity, learning, and personal growth, turning decades of uncertainty into an enduring legacy of inspiration. By mid-2021, the trial concluded successfully. Holloway's statements, verified through forensic evidence, provided closure for the Carmichael family and clarity for the community. The case became an example of how patient investigation, ethical procedures, and modern forensic science could resolve long-standing mysteries while centering the life and values of the person at the heart of the case. Throughout the proceedings, the Carmichael family emphasized remembrance over grievance. They expanded the Lydia Carmichael Creative Arts Fund, offering scholarships, volunteer mentorship programs, and workshops for children exploring art, music, and literature. Libraries, schools, and community centers hosted exhibitions, workshops, and mentorship programs reflecting her values, ensuring her influence continued to grow. Annual events celebrated Lydia's life. Student art exhibitions showcased creativity inspired by her work. Literacy programs encouraged youth engagement, and mentorship initiatives promoted personal growth. Each event highlighted her dedication, optimism, and nurturing spirit, transforming her influence into a living, ongoing legacy. Detective Hall reflected on the significance of the investigation. This case shows that careful, ethical investigation combined with modern forensic science can uncover truth even decades later. Most importantly, we honored Lydia's life at every stage. Her story guided the investigation and inspired the community. Schools and community organizations reported thriving participation in programs inspired by Lydia. Children engaged in creative projects, literacy workshops, and mentorship programs, developing skills, confidence, and a sense of purpose. Volunteers and educators cited her example as a guiding principle, reinforcing her influence across generations. By late 2021, Lydia Carmichael's presence was felt throughout Austin. Programs in her honor provided children with opportunities to explore creativity, mentorship, and personal growth. Libraries, schools, and community centers became spaces where her philosophy and dedication continued to thrive. The Carmichael family, relieved by the resolution, focused on sustaining programs that reflected Lydia's values. Scholarships, mentorship initiatives, and educational workshops became permanent programs, ensuring her influence endured. volunteers and educators incorporated her example into youth programs, preserving her dedication to nurturing curiosity, creativity, and learning. By early 2022, the community had fully embraced Lydia Carmichael's legacy. Schools reported growing participation in creative programs, libraries hosted ongoing exhibitions and workshops, and mentorship programs expanded citywide. Her life served as a model of positive influence, demonstrating that dedication, creativity, and compassion could leave a lasting mark on an entire community. The resolution of the cold case marked not an end, but a continuation of Lydia Carmichael's influence. Through educational initiatives, mentorship programs, and community outreach, her life continued to guide, inspire, and transform. Austin had turned decades of uncertainty into an enduring story of hope, creativity, and positive legacy. Lydia's story became a beacon for communities confronting unresolved challenges. It demonstrated that careful investigation, ethical procedures, and modern forensic technology could provide clarity while honoring the values and legacy of the individual at the center of the case. By mid-2022, students, volunteers, and community leaders continued to reflect on her life. Programs inspired by her teaching and mentorship reached hundreds of children, instilling creativity, curiosity, and confidence. Her influence extended beyond classrooms into the heart of the community, leaving a permanent legacy of inspiration and positive action. The Texas 1994 cold case had finally reached resolution, yet Lydia Carmichael's story continued to thrive. Her creativity, dedication, and nurturing spirit left an indelible mark on Austin. Through community programs, mentorship initiatives, and educational opportunities, her legacy lived on, a reminder that a single life lived with purpose can inspire countless others and leave a lasting positive impact on the world.